Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrix. What's up, Jimmy?
Well, Tyson, I think it's funny that we've been knowing each other for 10 years now, and it took our guest to point out to you that sometimes people say I look like Philip Seymour Hoffman, so that was sort of funny.
Yeah, and you do sort of look like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have quite the talent that he had, but you're okay. You've got your own strengths.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
that's why I'm here. I'm here to make sure you guys know who you are.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, let's go ahead and introduce her. You want to introduce Hilary, Tyson?
Yeah, so Hilary is the best-selling author, keynote speaker, founder of The Human Way, and former senior executive officer of Toyota Asia Pacific. She believes there is an evolution occurring in business. It's just not about technology, tactics, integrations, and how much money leaders pump into their companies. It's about love, care, and human connection. Her work draws from topics including Kaizen, I think it's Kaizen, operations, customer experience, employee experience, culture, and innovation. Hilary, I'm going to let you take it from there because we don't usually do long formal introductions, but I feel like we need to do one with you. And so tell us, I guess, tell us about yourself, and then tell me if I pronounce Kaizen correctly.
It's Kaizen.
Kaizen, okay.
It's very close. Very common, though, to pronounce it Kaizen. So Kaizen is what made Toyota famous on the manufacturing side of the business. If you think of Toyota, for quality, for reliability, process improvement. And over the last 10 years, those types of concepts have made their way to the West and sort of been commercialized as usual with democracy and capitalism, which is great about America. So that's why you've seen things pop up like the Lean Startup by Eric Ries and Six Sigma. Any of those real buzzwords that you've heard over the years around process improvement are all, really originally from Toyota and even before Toyota Deming. But we won't go there because that's like a century ago. But either way, I ran process improvement for Toyota across 14 Asian countries out of Singapore. And I was the first female they ever hired in the region to do the work, the only American, the youngest, the only native English speaker, and the only Caucasian. So that's the premise of my first book, was about working for a Japanese company, which is the only company I've ever worked for. I've been writing, speaking, and consulting ever since. And that first book is now being adapted into a screenplay.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I don't know that we've had anybody who's had their books adapted into a screenplay before, so that's pretty exciting.
Fun stuff. Yeah.
Let's talk about Kaizen. And I've read a few books on Kaizen. I'm a big fan of it, and I've tried to implement it in our firm. What do most people get wrong about Kaizen? And then maybe just talk about what you observed at Toyota when it came to the doctrine.
Yeah, I love it. Great question. So one of the things that people get wrong with Kaizen, and this is going to hit home for a lot of people, is that it's all about the tech. The irony is that tech's just going to amplify whatever your operation is. Tech's just going to take your operation and make it more visible to everyone faster and sooner, And so if you have poor processes, it's not going to make your business more efficient. It's just going to make it exponentially less efficient. And so that's what I see very often be the case is people implement automation, they implement technology, and they hope that it's going to solve all of their operation problems. But the irony, and I know this from working with the best of the best at Toyota, is that the operation has to be designed first, and then you have to match the tech to the operation. And what people often do wrong is they do the opposite. They implement the tech, and then they go, okay, what do we have to change in the operation? Or they don't even ask that question, and they just implement the tech. And that's why Salesforce has the reputation that it has now. Salesforce has undeniably been successful. I won't take that away from them. But why is it that we're seeing after Salesforce implementation, now there's coaches developing. So companies go and implement Salesforce, and then there's a whole nother business that arises because they implement it incorrectly, and now they have to go hire a coach to fix their problems. I used to get brought into those situations. I don't anymore because I don't do that. But the point here is you have to design the operation for the person going through the experience, then implement the tech at the right place at the right time to actually solve the problems. And that's where you get optimized experiences. And that's where you get experiences that become viral and people love because it's very much designed for the person going through the experience rather than designing for the benefit of the company. Because here's the thing. You guys know very well, what do we do as business owners? We're constantly looking for how to increase quality or decrease cost, constantly. But very often we can do that at the detriment of the very people we serve. You can make a really efficient process. Just like when I came on this podcast, you guys had a really efficient onboarding process. Amazing. It was like one of the best I've been through. I was like, thank God someone finally figured this out, way to make it easy for the guests. So you have a very efficient process, but very often it's efficient for the company, but it's actually harmful or at the detriment of the person going through it. It's more paperwork, or it's, more excess work, and rather than making it designed for that person. And that's the human way.
So Hilary, we're in this environment where we're, not in person, right? Like where we are on Zoom all the time, and everything's just really gone into the cloud, right? So how do we humanize our processes in this current environment? Because it's going to stick around. It's not like it's going to go away completely. So how can we humanize these interactions?
Yeah, great question. So the beauty is right now, everyone's talking about tech and digital innovation, and they have been for 10 years, right? But now it's like COVID, everyone's saying, oh, now you really have to do digital transformation. Now you really have to make the leap. Yes, you do, but it's not tech or humanization, it's tech and humanization. We as Americans have to get used to the middle path, that things can coexist. It's not people or profits, it's people and profits. And the irony is the human way actually leads to more profits. Because imagine if you designed an experience so that it was so well thought through that it expedited people through their journey to buy faster. I can't tell you how many times I see operations that because of their automation, they actually make it so hard for a consumer to give them money. I see it over and over again. It's like you have layer after layer, barrier after barrier through your tech. And so here, the important point is as you make this transformation to a more digital world, so cold calling, right? Cold calling has changed. Cold calling has become more important than before, and it will be a timeless practice. Emails, drip campaigns, sales calls via video, all these things, you have to really push the envelope of being more of yourself, being more authentic, more real, more natural. Forget the canned responses, forget the corporate jargon, forget the scripts, and open naturally as you, as the way your company wants to show up, as the values your company represents, because that's what's going to build a connection. The task here, the real big challenge for every company as they make this transition to more digital, is how do you create opportunities to build trust? What does that mean? We're in a deep, deep crisis of trust. There's actually some statistics that show from 1970 to 2015, every major big institution has dropped in their level of trust by consumers and the common public by over 20%. So big business, military, medicine, every big institution has plummeted in trust. What does that mean? People don't know what's believable anymore. And so here you are as a business owner saying, yeah, I'm going to make this digital transformation. I'm going to automate the crap out of my business. But very often you can do that without realizing there's always still a human behind that experience and that process. Every digital experience is still a human experience. And so what does that mean? If you have screens between you and your customer in your cold calling process or in your sales process, then you have to fight even harder to build trust. So what does that look like? When you get on the phone, be natural. I had a CEO ask me last week, she said, we're doing this newsletter and I don't know what to say. Like there's so much to say and I don't know what to say. And I was like, then that's what you say. Like what you say is, man, I don't know about you, but I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say because there's so much to say. And so you know what? And I asked her, I said, maybe you can frame this as a way to hear out what they want to hear. So frame it as, hey, I'm going to keep it really short this week. Instead of me coming up with ideas, I'm going to be really honest. I don't know what to say. You tell me what you want to hear. And as a result, her newsletter blew up. And so it's like people are craving, their yearning for realness because through screens and through our automations, we don't know what the fuck's real anymore. We don't know if the bot is real. We have to question, is that a real person behind there or not? And so as you take this into consideration, be authentic, use storytelling, connect with your company's values, talk like a real person, and have deep empathy for the person you're on the other side of the experience. What does that mean? That's not just fluff. That's like straight up, hey, I know this is really a confusing time for you. Let's talk, and I'll keep this real short to protect your schedule. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, heck yeah, you can have 5 minutes of my time, right? So this is not fluff. It's actually incredibly tactical and operational.
So you brought up something about trust. And by the way, Jim, I just want to point out she's one of us dropping the F-bomb earlier in the
Sorry.
No, that's good. You're in like-minded people, so that's good. Elise will love hearing the F-bomb. That's great. But we're in an industry where trust is a real issue. It's already an issue. I'm not even sure what my question is, other than the fact that any additional tips that you might have for our industry, because it is a problem.
Absolutely. So let's get real. The irony is that every weakness can be used as a strength. I actually think your industry has one of the most opportunities. These industries that will never go away, they have their place in the world, but they're slightly antiquated. They do business the old school way, top-down approach, command and control, very traditional. You actually have the most opportunity to really lean into being human and own that space. What does that mean? All of y'all look the same. All of y'all act the same. For the most part, you do very similar work. And so this is where being human is actually a hidden strategic advantage. Because what happens if you act the same and you're selling pretty much the same amount of work? I mean, you guys in the law industry, there's verticals, right? Injury, et cetera. Like it just goes on, but for the most part, you do the same work. And so you're a very commoditized business. What happens when you're a commoditized business? You sell based on features and benefits. You end up competing based on price. And no one wants to do business that way. It becomes exhausting time and time again. You have to hit your monthly sales targets. And so the question becomes, how can you compete in a different way? There's a great guy in Austin, Texas, which is where I live. I'm not going to quote his name because I don't necessarily want to give him business, but I will give him credit, which he calls himself something like the rock star injury lawyer or something. And he is just straight up like crazy hair, and like wears leather in his advertisements. And he's just like, dude, I love rock music and I'm a lawyer, and those two things can coexist. And you know what? He's not for everyone, but anyone who likes rock music, which is a very big constituency in the United States, will love this guy if they get, in an injury or have an injury and have to get a lawyer. So what does that mean? In a commodity business, how can you as a company look at who you are, your identity, how you show up in the world, and push the envelope for how to be more human? And so that you're competing in a different way. What does that mean? That means your sales scripts, your cold calls, your emails, your drip campaigns, your onboarding process. I've been seeing more and more contracts and agreements be humanized. I just signed my new book publishing deal. It was a 6-page contract. You know how long my lease in a skyrise in downtown Austin was? 120 pages. How much bullshit is that compared to my 6-page book publishing deal, which I think is slightly more important than my skyrise lease agreement? So what does that mean? In the contract world, now everyone's going to say, well, we have to cover our basis. But this is where you have to really question yourself. It's not where can't I be human? Where can I be human? Where can I have empathy with my customers? Where can I show up more as myself and take on a bigger identity and have more fun with my brand as a way to connect with people, to see that I see you, you matter, and I'm here for you. And it's not going to be through proving your credibility or proving your results or talking about features and benefits. It's going to be connecting with them as a human.
Jim, you got to check out this website. It is rockedbyarec.com. Rockstar Lawyer is his brand. It's a reckless pursuit of justice. It is fantastic. And this guy, he looks rock and roll, man. And he's wearing this Led Zeppelin shirt, but half of it's split in half and half of it's a suit. This is fantastic.
We'll have him on the show.
Yeah, for sure. That guy's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Hilary, you may not have want to give him business, but I
go.
Interesting. That's really cool.
All right, what I appreciate about him is he has courage to show up how he wants to show up in the world. And I love how you guys show up in the way you want to show up in the world. So we talk about there's 6 traits to human era companies. 1, they have deep customer empathy. As an example, USAA Bank, when they train their employees, they actually make them wear the vest that people in the Army wear to feel the weight of what they go through. They make them eat Army meals to feel the pain of terrible tasting meals, to have empathy for the customer. So there's very tactical operational ways. And law firms, if anything, are known for not having empathy. They're cold, heartless, and sterile. That's what I say all the time. CHS is my acronym. Most operations, when they're implemented with tech, become cold, heartless, and sterile. It's just a company pushing you and shoving you down processes, and then they wonder why they don't get the results they want. And if you humanize those, if you understand at the stage of the experience the customer wants that connection, you will actually drive better results. So having deep customer empathy, having personality, attitude, and values. Own your shit. If you're a rock star, own it. If you're super formal, own it. I had a CEO of a commercial real estate agency out of San Diego ask me a couple weeks ago, hey, we really want to let our agents be business casual. Is that okay? I'm like, dude, that's not for me to decide. Is it okay to you? How do you want to show up as a company? And that's what people, a lot of CEOs feel that type of pressure. They don't know, how much should I say it? How much should I not say? How should I show up? How should I not show up? They practice real talk. They love surprise moments. So if you're a law firm, figure out how to make moments and elements of surprise and wow at the points in the experience that are most important. I see this at contract signing and onboarding where it fails the most. Your customer is the most excited and you just make it as tedious and monotonous as possible. You almost like want it to be miserable for them. Don't try to flip the switch. How do you make it exciting? Open the fifth trait is they're open, honest, and show their unique self. We've talked about that. And the last one is they create opportunities to represent your brand. Whataburger did a great thing in the state of Texas. It's a burger chain. They actually launched a line of doormats that say, you better have brought Whataburger. It's brilliant. Now, is it making them loads of money? No, but it's not stupid propaganda of like a leather book with your name on it. No one wants those anymore. It gives an opportunity for your customers to evangelize the brand. And so to all the law firms out there listening to this, like, please take one of these and like, just think, who am I? How do I want to show up? And how do I implement one of these traits in a way that's more unique to myself?
We're talking today with Hilary Corna, and she's a marketing and business expert. We're glad to have her on the show. I have lots of questions, Hilary, but I'm going to go to one from our members, and it touches on what you just said. So many people think, oh, if I do my marketing and make it personalized, that'll turn people off,
Yeah.
and or other people will copy me. And I tell people all the time, no one's going to copy you because they can't. You know, if I'm an immigration lawyer, and another immigration lawyer and I are going to have very different takes on the same thing. So infusing it with our personality is the only way to stand out. I think you're right about that.
Okay, so I love what you're saying. Key point: use original language. I've always had a rule of thumb in my life to not speak with cliches, because cliches are in one ear, out the other. People don't listen, absorb, and analyze what you're saying. So use original language. What does that mean? Speak the way you speak. Speak real talk. Speak the way your customers speak. I'm working with this app that works with, it pairs construction companies with construction workers. And it just so happens that the guy designing the app is super intelligent human, you know, straight from Vancouver, has a lot of experience in Silicon Valley. And so every prompt the app had was incredibly sophisticated and professional, whatever that means these days, and very cold. And I was like, who are you talking to? You're talking to construction workers. You have to speak like them. So yes, use original language, use humor. Don't be afraid to lean in. The irony is, once you take this leap, and you just have to take the leap, talk like yourself and take the leap, then you'll start to see more engagement. You'll start to see more responses to your emails. You'll start to see more tags on your social, because people don't want canned response. People want something that's believable.
I'm just sort of absorbing all this. This is just really, I think, really good information. I think it's stuff that we need to hear, because we just had Dan Schnurbush on the other day, and he's got this estate planning website. It was really just dry and bland and boring, and it didn't really convey his personality. And then we did this hot seat, and he just reconfigured everything, and he made it a lot more personal, and it looks so much better. And whenever like, I don't like, whenever I saw it, I had this connection with him because he talks about his story, because he lost his dad, and his dad didn't have the estate plan that he should have had. And so he tells that story now. And you have that personal connection. So we talk a little bit more about just stories and personal connections that will help convey your message and know, like, and trust you more.
Yes. I love this. So storytelling is one of the traits that human-centered companies typically use. It's a very strategic tactic. As an example, this construction company that I mentioned, this gentleman who owns the company actually designs TED stages. So that's his background. He builds TED stages. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. That adds to your credibility. It's super impressive. But only like a month into working with him did I find out that actually his dad in Canada, back in like the early 50s and 60s, in their community of 500 homes, built 400 of those homes. And that he is known as a legacy in his town in Canada for having like built community and brought people together and created a safe space for that community to live and breathe. And I was like, dude, that's your story. It's not like, listen, I know you worked for TED and that's really cool, but like that doesn't connect with builders or constructors. What connects with builders and constructors is, hey, I'm on this level and, most likely I'll probably be in construction the rest of my life. That's my identity. So connect with them. As an example for myself, one of the stories I often tell about my time at Toyota is, so my father was an entrepreneur, but he was not successful. He actually passed away when I was 9 months old in a car accident. And about 10 years ago, we found a letter that he had written to himself prior to his passing. And what he says in that letter is that, this is going to be one of the biggest challenges of my career. He was taking over my grandpa's company. And he said, should I succeed, may I always be reminded of the things that matter most and not be distracted by the frugal rewards of hard work and dedication, and always know that what matters most is my family and my love for them. And so I tell that story a lot in my keynotes because I think entrepreneurs are really yearning for that type of meaning and purpose. And yeah, we can make a shit ton of money. We know how to make businesses that run with machine-like efficiency. Like we can do that. The tools are there. But when you hear customer stories and when you connect with them on a deeper level, and when you hear how your company changed their life, that's what people connect to. So for example, with testimonials, anyone out there who has testimonials on their website, stop using produced testimonials. No one believes it anymore. Honestly, you don't even think they're real for the most part, but it's a waste of time. And people say, oh, well, it has to look professional. It has to be polished. It has to be recorded with a high def camera. It doesn't. My favorite thing is what I call text-monials, which is using real text that you got and posting that on your website. Because it's more real, it's more authentic, it's more in the moment. And that's what people are craving, that behind the scenes. So any chance that you can use storytelling and testimonials is also a really effective tactic. Like let your customer, we would always say at Toyota, show me, don't tell me. Let your customer speak on your behalf rather than you trying to create a narrative that your future prospects want to hear.
Thanks for sharing that story about your dad's letter. And I instantly connected to you more than I had before just by hearing it. So I think the point was proven just right there in your share. I want to shift gears for a minute just because we're coming up against time, and this is a question I wanted to ask you. So I practice law with my wife, and she's in charge of the production of legal services, like actually doing the legal work with other lawyers, and she supervises them. And we've been doing a ton of work on improving our systems, and sort of incremental change, Kaizen. Probably not doing it right, but we're trying to incrementally improve. But she gets really frustrated when a mistake occurs. And I'm wondering if you just talk about where does the role of mistakes fall into the improvement process in Kaizen?
Oh, what a beautiful question to end on. The founder of the Toyota production system, his name is Taiichi Ono. And Taiichi Ono has a great, excuse me, my phone's ringing. Taiichi Ono has a great quote that says, and of course I'm going to butcher it on the spot. every problem is not a problem. Every problem is actually an opportunity, something along the lines of that. And so the great wisdom of Toyota that many people can't harness because it's long-term, it's not short-term benefits of, process improvement, is that operations is designed to be indefinite. There is never a point in improving someone's lives that you're just, I can wash my hands of this. We're done. We've made this so perfect. Because what happens, people evolve, people change. Your customers' needs and wants are changing, especially with COVID in some industries day to day. And so when we talk about mistakes, Toyota just would simply never use that word. And it's really, how do you change your perspective and the framing of that problem? That now you have more information. What does that tell you in terms of how you need to do things differently? How does that inform your future decisions? And so this is very much a challenge of Western mindsets and the education system that we're built upon. I truly believe that our future and success as a culture and society is actually in learning skills that make us human, not things that robots can do. And why do I bring this up? Right now, everyone's teaching coding, scripting, automation, engineering. And in the short term, yeah, it's highly valuable. I will not deny that. But there will be a point where robots can do those things better than us. And that is a risk. When we as humans don't know how to do original thinking or creative problem solving, teamwork, collaboration, these are the skill sets that I believe are the future. Now, I'm not talking about next year, but I think in the next 10 years. And so to your point, Jim, problem solving and how do you deal with failure and resiliency and recovery is a skill set that as humans, the more we nurture it, the more successful we'll become. And in process improvement, it's never even seen as a failure.
I love it. Jimbo, do you want to do our Smith AI ad?
I'll do it later. We can just add it on later.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to take a pause. All right. Hilary, I could talk to you freaking all day. This is just great. I love talking about systems and processes and adding that human element. It's fantastic, but we do need to wrap things up. Before I do, how do people get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Absolutely. So there's a couple ways to engage. The most personal is my weekly newsletter, The Human Way. In that, I share real-time examples from companies that are first to market with this trend and that are benefiting from it. I show a lot of befores and afters and some case studies. So if you want to go to the website, it's just my name, hilarycorna.com. There's only one of me, and that's one L, not two. My name is permanently damaged or plagued, whatever you want to call it. So hilarycorna.com. In terms of social, I write the most on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to make that connection. And I would say I am the most human on Instagram. And then I'm usually the most opinionated on Twitter.
I love it. I like opinions. So does Jim. Jim's got a lot of strong opinions as well. All right. But I am going to wrap things up. So please join us in the guild. If you're interested in the guild, it's maxlawguild.com. A lot of great high-level people in the guild sharing a lot of great information that you're not able to get in the big group. But if the guild's not for you, check out the big group on Facebook. And then also at the end of this episode, please give us a 5-star review so we help spread the love. Jimmy, what's your hack of the week?
Well, first of all, let me thank Hilary for coming on the show. You know, we have these guests sometimes, Tyson, from time to time. It's not that often, to tell you the truth, that people actually say things that are going to haunt me for weeks and weeks and things to think about. And I somewhat resent that, but I also appreciate it. So Hilary, thanks for that. And my hack of the week is to study the work of Dr. W. Edwards Deming. That's where a lot of the incremental improvement movement comes from. There's a great website for the Deming Institute called deming.org. There are resources, there's videos, there's obviously has lots of books. I have one of his books that I've started, and it's good. It helps you sort of look at improvements in a neutral way without getting all the emotional and like Hilary said, just never being satisfied and always looking to improve.
Mm-hmm. Love it, Jimmy. All right, Hilary, we always ask our guests to give a tip or hack of the week. Do you have a tip or hack for us?
Yes. So here's my challenge. I want you this week before Thanksgiving to somehow call it out. Go, whether you're comfortable on your social or your blog, whatever that platform is, or maybe you have a weekly call with your clients, call out the falseness of your industry. Say some myth, say some mistruth about what's going on and people's interpretation of your work. That is a moment, that is a chance for you to build trust with your people, because people want to know the truth.
And I am going to say, this will probably air. I don't know if this will air in the new year, but it may air right before New Year's. So I would
let's
say
reset.
Reset it
Reword
for the New Year's or whenever this drops. I'm not sure when this is going to drop. Jimmy,
beautiful.
Basically, just give yourself a deadline and
yeah.
do what Hilary just said, because I think it's great advice. I like it. It's good because the guild gets to see this today, and they can do it before Thanksgiving. So fantastic. So my tip of the week is an app, and I talk about your top three, the top three things you should do each day, and it's a modification from a variety of other people that talk about writing down 5 things to do each day and then do those 5 things and nothing else. Mine's a top 3, and it's really hard to find a digital version that it's not too much or not enough. I mean, there's a lot of different apps that do a lot of things, and I found one that's super simple. All I need is something super simple, and it's today, tomorrow, and someday. And so you can write down the things that you're going to do today, and it reminds you. And then you can put, if you want to do something tomorrow, you can put on tomorrow. If it's a someday, you put it on someday. So all those things that you put on your long task list would go under someday. Things you're going to do tomorrow, obviously tomorrow, and then the things you want to do today, the top 3 you do today. And it's a free app. It's called Someday. And it's really cool. It's simple. If you want all the bells and whistles, it's not for you. But if you just want something really simple that'll help you track your tasks for today and tomorrow and someday, this is the one for you. So that's our tip of the week. Hilary, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a lot of great information that you've shared. And so thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Hilary.
Thanks, Hilary. See ya.